Hello everyone, it's Oliver Harper here and I'm back with a new Patreon Q&A. This is the one for September. I do have a bit of a cold at the moment, so my voice is a little bit sore. My throat is just on fire. But hopefully I can get through this without too many hiccups. Okay, let's get to the first question. The first question is from Robert. I was wondering, since you are so into film scores, if you would talk about the soundtracks that had the deepest emotional impact on you. What track could you listen to and it makes you cry? What track makes you happiest? Well, the one that made me cry, I think, film score wise, is probably Somewhere in Time by John Barry. He'd written the score after the death of his mother and father, so because they died in a short space of each other, so it was a huge impact on him, and all that emotion goes into the score. And I think most people who see Somewhere in Time will get a bit choked up by the music. And Dragon the Bruce Lee story has also got a very emotional score. I think the theme for Brand and his son, and at the end, what was it? I think when he says to Linda that he loves her and stuff like that. He always loved her and things like that. And he runs up the steps and does the sort of Jeet Kune Do kind of stance, and then it kind of ends the movie. That works really well. I think any sort of John Williams kind of big fanfare makes me really happy. Obviously, Superman, Indiana Jones always kind of lifts your spirits. Question 2 from Christopher. Do you ever watch any fan edits and think they are better than the originals? I don't really watch that many fan edits. I was invited to a forum where you could kind of share and download kind of fan edits of particular movies. Most fan edits I come across are Star Wars related. I did have a Superman 4, I think it was called The Quest for Coherence, someone had done years ago when they released the deleted scenes, and he put it all together and did a very good job of that. And then there's, when I reviewed Dune, someone had sent me an edit called Spice Diver, and I watched that, and that was so good. That was far better than the kind of theatrical cut and the extended TV cut. The guy colour corrected a lot of the bits where you see his eyes go blue when he has a lot of the spice, and it had a far better structure to it. So I think I should really redo my review of Dune at some point, and I will discuss that fan edit. And my old review of Dune, despite it being very popular, there's a lot of mispronunciations in that, and people get very upset when I mispronounce a made-up word. But there's a lot of, I think I can do better. And that was a very early review as well, so... But to be honest, not many fan edits come my way. Next question is from Robin. Hi Ollie. If you had to script out the next 6 to 12 months of your life and channel, what would it say? I don't really know, really. I mean, it'd be nice to sort of get over the sort of 100k sort of subscriber mark. Maybe sort of expand and do more sort of freelance work. Channel-wise, with sort of extra content, I've got some things in the pipeline for the sort of Patreon perks. I've kind of hit the goal, so the Superman 4 documentary will come out hopefully before Christmas, and there's other kind of videos I like to do, so I'm trying to expand, sort of offer more than just straight out movie reviews. And what was the other thing? My mind's gone blank. I need to sort of, going back to movie reviews, I need to cover some of the other things I've not finished off, like do Spider-Man 2 and 3, do The Dark Knight, finish off some of the sequels to some of the reviews I've done. So trying to go through some of the kind of most requested kind of reviews, but that doesn't mean the door's now open to send me requests. I just need to finish off some of the things I'd promised, and obviously make a start on the Rocky retrospectives and Rambo. I think Rambo, as I said in the last Q&A, will probably happen in November, but I've got quite a lot of work to do this October, so it's going to be very stressful. And I'm coming down with a cold, so it's going to be a bit of an uphill struggle. But when it comes to sort of, hopefully I can get everything done within October. Some of the horror stuff may kind of bleed into early November. But some good stuff coming, so don't worry. Next question is from Nick. You've been using Final Cut Pro 10 for a while. How do you feel its contrasts with Adobe Premiere Pro and Final Cut Pro 7? Also, do you have much editing experience before starting up your retrospectives? I didn't really have much experience before doing movie reviews and things like that for YouTube. I did a couple of trailers, a couple of wonky trailers, which I thought were really cool, but they're actually pretty shite. Also, I did college, I kind of did editing stuff on VHS and things like that, and that's when I first got introduced to Final Cut Pro, the very first edition of it, and I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really cool software. I started using obviously iMovie as well, which came with my iMac, which I wasn't really a fan of. So when it came to upgrading to Final Cut Pro 10, because Final Cut Pro 7 was becoming too slow, really, it was like rendering times were taking forever, exporting times. Final Cut Pro 10 I had used briefly with my friend Steve, who edited one of his short movies, and I kind of got used to it quite quickly, but then I kind of forgot how to use it. And then when I had to make the change, it was quite daunting. I had Adobe Premiere 6 on my computer, and I used it for about an hour or two, and I thought, no, this is not really for me. And most people generally do upgrade from Final Cut Pro 7 to Adobe Premiere, the latest version, which you can't actually buy physically. You have to sort of rent or lease, pay a fee every month, which I think is a bit. I'm not particularly happy about that. So Final Cut Pro 10, you can actually buy it and it's yours. You can't buy it physically anymore, but it's like you don't have to pay monthly to own it, or all the updates are for free. So Final Cut Pro 10.3.4, I think that's the one I'm on to now. I think it's fantastic. I obviously wasn't a fan of it when I first kind of was introduced to it, and everyone did say it was like iMovie with a few more bells and whistles on. But with a lot of the updates I've done, it's really, really efficient and very quick at doing things. And my friend Tim had came over, and he hates Final Cut Pro 10, and he started using it as we were editing some video, and he's like, "Oh, I can get used to this now, But because you can color correct stuff on the fly, and it renders everything in the background. Final Cut Pro 7, if you change some of the colors, you've got to wait for it to render that clip, then you can see what the results are. Final Cut Pro 10, it's always instant access to everything you're doing, and it does take a while to get used to the magnetic timeline and some of the fiddly quirks of it all. But once you get your head around that, it becomes very easy to use, and it's sped up my work time, and we're getting things done. I can get things rendered and exported far quicker. The new Mac OS update for Sierra does make Final Cut Pro 7 incompatible. So if you like to upgrade your stuff on a regular basis and you forget that Final Cut Pro 7 is not compatible, then you may be in a bit of a bugger's muddle. So I'd back up everything before you attempt to upgrade, or maybe make the jump to Final Cut Pro 10 or Adobe Premiere. Next question is from Andre. Hi Oliver, with Halloween fast approaching, I was interested to know your general thoughts on the Nightmare on Elm Street films you haven't reviewed, mainly 1, 2, 4, 5 and 6. How would you rank the series from best to worst in your opinion? Now that's 9 in total, so he's counting A New Nightmare, Freddy vs. Jason, and the remake. So I've made my list of best to worst. Number 1 is Elm Street Part 1. Number 2, New Nightmare. Number 3, Part 3. Number 4, Part 4. Number 5, Freddy vs. Jason. Number 6 is Part 5. Number 7 is Part 2. See, Part 2 is quite low down because they butchered the rules on that one, where Freddy kind of jumped into the real world and goes, "You're all my children now." That was a bit shit. Number 8 is Freddy's Dead. Not a fan of that one. And number 9 is the remake, which is absolute shit. The next question is from Sylvester. Hi Oliver, what do you think of Tyler Hoechlin's portrayal as Superman/Clark Kent in the second series of Supergirl? Also, do you like how the character is written in it? I've not seen season 2 of Supergirl, right? So I've seen a few of the trailers where the new Superman's in it. So for this Q&A, I went, right, I'll go watch the episodes with Superman in them. And I thought he was very good Superman. He's, it's the classic kind of, bumbling, clumsy Clark Kent and a sort of confident Superman. I think he did a very good job with it. I am, Mr. Nitpick when it comes to Superman and how he should be and how he should act. The costume is shite. I hate the way the cape is slung on his shoulders. I don't like the rubbery anorak cape, but they should get rid of that from Supergirl series. There should be like proper cotton material like he has in Man of Steel. He's a bit short as well, Tyler is. So he's kind of up against Supergirl. He's just a tad taller. But that is really nitpicking. But I think he does a very good take on Superman, and it's got elements of everything from Chris Reeve's portrayal, Dean Cain's, and even like George Reeves. So it's kind of a mishmash of everything. I do like how I think when Superman was introduced in the first episode of Supergirl season 2, where one of the guys goes, "Oh," they talk to him about the earthquake in California, so referencing Superman the movie, and there's a girl working there called Miss Tessmarker. I thought it was a bit strange, but yeah, he does a good job. I think he's actually better than Tom Welling, and he's more Superman than Henry Cavill's version, because we haven't seen the classic Superman on screen yet, but maybe when he comes back in Justice League. Next question is from Peta. Like you, I recently bought a UHD Blu-ray player myself, and I'm so far pretty impressed. Have you considered UHD Blu-ray reviews on selected movies you acquire? Terminator 2, E.T. and Close Encounters come to mind. A brief discussion regarding video and audio quality would be interesting. That is a good idea, but unfortunately, because there's no way to capture the 4K quality, there's no kind of portable USB 4K Blu-ray player to sort of plug into your computer and capture that, and give people genuine kind of picture results of what the quality's like. Or if you shoot it with if I play it on the TV and use my video camera, it still wouldn't be a genuine representation of what it looks like. So it would have to be you'd have to take my word for it. Say, oh, this picture's better than the previous version, or there's too much, the colours are oversaturated, etc. So I think when the technology becomes cheaper, and then I have software to sort of capture 4K content, then I would do reviews in a similar fashion to the Blu-ray reviews I've done previously, such on Teen Wolf and Species. The next question is from Frederick. Oliver, if you'll have kids in future, what is the order you will show them the Star Wars movies? In chronological order, or the order they were released? I would show them in the order when they were released. So you have to be episodes 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, because I would want to see their reaction to seeing the reveal that Darth Vader is Luke Skywalker's father. So doing it the other way around, the impact is totally gone. So it kind of ruins it. So yes. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. The next question is from Andre. If you had to pick one Superman villain that hasn't been portrayed on the big screen, who would it be? Personally, I would like to see Brainiac. He was supposed to be in Superman Lives, the sort of failed Tim Burton movie. So he hasn't really had a big screen incarnation yet. I think he's popped up in the TV show Smallville. I'm not sure if he's popped up in Supergirl yet. So yeah, I'd like to see him, turn up on the big screen, and them take ideas from the animated Superman cartoon, where he's kind of hoarding all this information on all the planets he's destroyed. Now he's come for Kal-El, come for Superman. So that will be a good kind of new villain to introduce for the next, I'd say, Man of Steel 2, if that ever happens. The next question is from Reese. Hi Oliver, do you have any films you consider that are so bad they are good? I have answered a similar question to this before. What did I say? Well, yeah, Street Fighter the movie was the one I felt was so bad it's good. And I think most kind of Chuck Norris kind of canon movies kind of fall into that category. Masters of the Universe is not, a masterpiece, but I find it really enjoyable. Richard and Duncan don't. So, yeah, I've said before, and I'll say it again. Street Fighter the movie is my number one. It's so bad, it's good. Next question is from Duncan. To celebrate the 30th anniversary of all films released in 1987, do you have any plans to cover The Princess Bride in a retrospective or commentary form? Would it be possible for you and Richard to re-record a commentary to Predator, this time including Duncan Casey? Well, yeah, The Princess Bride is something I want to do. It's a very popular movie. I do really enjoy it. I think just trying to incorporate in the soundtrack may be a little bit difficult, so I'll have to do a very kind of clever edit when I do that, the trailers and stuff, because the music's very strong copyright presence on that. Predator, yes, that's a good idea to sort of re-record that with Duncan as well, because it was very early commentary. Most of the feedback on that was like people going, "Where's the fucking film?" It's because they saw the length of the video and it just said Predator, and people were like, they can watch the film for free, and it wasn't just me and Richard just babbling on and drove everyone nuts. So yes, I'll re-record Predator at some point and include Duncan. Next question is from Mark. Hi Oliver, I've been subscribed to your channel for almost a year and only now have pledged to your Patreon. Shame on me. Your videos are fantastic. They've been making my year much more bearable, especially your videos with Duncan and Richard. This year marked 2 big anniversaries for 2 of Steven Spielberg's best. The 40th anniversary of Close Encounters and the 35th anniversary of E.T. With those in mind, are you planning to do any more retrospectives for Spielberg's work? For example, Last Crusade, AI, Minority Report, War of the Worlds. Keep up the great work and tell Richard to get cracking on with Risky Quizness episode 4. Yes, Richard does need to finish Risky Quizness episode 4. I sent him the audio I don't know, 9 months ago. So, yes, Spielberg films. I need to review Last Crusade, which I will do. I will do that before Christmas, I promise. And War of the Worlds is actually something that I have considered. So that will happen. E.T., Close Encounters, I think later down the line. Next question is from Niall or Neil. Hi Oliver, do you hold any hopes for the Terminator franchise? The first two were fantastic, of course, but everything since then has been awful. Even Terminator Salvation was pretty weak. Is this just another cash cow that is now likely going to be milked to death? Well, I think the Terminator franchise has already been milked to death. With now James Cameron getting the rights back, he's now planning. I think he's going to be producing his kind of next ones on in the series. Apparently, Linda Hamilton's coming back, and maybe Arnold. I don't know. I'm not particularly pumped or excited to see what happens. To be honest, I'll wait till we see like a trailer or something like that. But at the moment, I said, where else can I go with it? And there was a Q&A, wasn't there, with James Cameron, and he talked about, I think it was for the T2 3D promotion, and he said like, oh, some of the backstory for how Arnold, the T800 was created and stuff. I don't think we need to know this stuff. It's all just, the more you know, it's the less threatening he becomes. The Terminator. So I just can't get excited for this anymore for Terminator stuff. Next question is from Daniel. Hi Oliver, I know you're always busy, but I only wanted to ask if you're planning on reviewing, retrospecting the Doctor Who movie, any of the animated Batman films, more Star Wars/Star Trek stuff, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, and Ghost in the Shell. Well, Star Wars stuff, Rogue One commentary for Christmas. I don't think I'll be covering the original films at that point. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check with Richard and Duncan. Retrospectives on Star Wars stuff. There won't be any on the prequels. I said that publicly. I've no interest in talking about the prequels at all. I've blown my load, as it were, on the Star Wars prequels. I did the commentaries because I'd only just be repeating myself. Doctor Who. Richard said he'll do a commentary to it at some point, but I'm not really a Doctor Who fan, so I'm not really an expert on the series. What else was there? Star Trek stuff. I need to finish off the Star Trek retrospectives, like 4. And what was that? Was that only 4 got left to do? No, 4 and 5. 4 and 5 I've got to do retrospectives on the original kind of movie series. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Bed Knobs and Broomsticks I have no interest in, I'm afraid. Sorry, dude. Ghost in the Shell. I do really want to do, but anime's become very difficult because of this constant copyright claims from different companies around the world who want to claim the footage. Like you have, for example, Japan will claim it, which is fine, and if you distribute it, they release it, and then another company will come along from Italy and go, oh, we distribute anime in Italy, we want to claim that, but then they won't release it, even though people in Japan who made the fucking thing have given away, the copyright. So, the people in Italy generally do release it after a while. You have to do a lot of emailing and communication to get a response from them, but so it just becomes a huge uphill struggle to do anime. And people ask me to do that Studio, is it Ghibli kind of movies, but they throw out copyright strikes and stuff, so it just becomes like a bit of a struggle to do animation or Japanese anime. But it's not out of the question. I will do Ghost in the Shell because I bought the Blu-ray, got the soundtrack, and I was like, I'm going to do this. So I had planned to do it, and it will happen. I just don't know when. Let's say beginning of next year. Next question is from Zachary. Hi Ollie, in keeping with the season, also because of the success of It, I was curious on your take on Stephen King. I finally took to reading him back in 2015 and love his work from the 70s and 80s. Do you have a favourite Stephen King book or movie, or possibly least favourites? Well, I haven't read any of his books. We do have a couple in the house, like The Stand and Pet Sematary. I've not seen that many movies either. I've seen The Shawshank Redemption, which is superb. Misery, Mist, Shining, Tommyknockers TV movie, The Stand. I think I've seen The Stand, It TV movie, and the recent remake. The best for me was Misery. I don't really have a least favourite. I think the TV movie, is pretty weak. As we say, part 2, I think is rubbish. So that's probably the weakest by default kind of thing, because I haven't seen that many. I think there was far worse. But yeah, my favourite is Misery. Last question is from Wit. With home video entertainment now upgrading to 4K, many older films are getting upgraded to the new format, such as Blade Runner: The Final Cut. Do you feel that some/many older films may not benefit from this upgrade, given that it can point out too much detail, revealing unforgiving sins like guide wires and older special effects? Well, it really depends on the transfer, Wit. For example, if they bugger up the brightness and contrast, it may reveal things like guide wires. Superman 3, when that came out on DVD, you could see the guide wires holding Christopher Reeve. When the Blu-ray came out, they weren't there because they adjusted the colours correctly, and they weren't there visibly on the 35mm print, which I saw last summer. So for older films getting the 4K treatment, of course it will, show up some old optical effects, but that's how they kind of looked when they came out. So as kids growing up, we used to look at a film looking a particular way because we saw it on VHS and not actually saw it on 35mm. We could stop and pause and take in all the detail. But now we have the opportunity to do that. So seeing your favourite movie like Robocop in 4K or whatever, will show you the details of the suit, where you can see like the rubber and the joining bits, and people might go, "Oh no, it's ruined the film." It's like, well, that's kind of how it looked, when it came out. It's just like because you're so used to watching this low res version, and now you can put and pause it. So in the film, you're kind of just watching it in one go, and you can't stop and rewind it and just take in more of the detail. So it doesn't really bother me, to be honest. If the thing is, right, if you buy an really old movie and it hasn't been remastered properly, it's just been put onto 4K, it may look a bit crap. It may be really grainy and stuff, loads of noise in the picture. So yeah, it's just check the reviews and make sure what you're going to buy has been treated well when it comes to its transfer. Right, that is the end of the Q&A. The Fortress review will be up very shortly. My voice is now going, so I've got to maybe have a cup of tea and some more medicine, then record the voiceover to the Fortress review, and then I'm cracking on with the Halloween stuff. So that will be coming very soon. And of course, we've got Blade Runner next week, which we're going to be seeing on the 5th of October, and then reviewing it on the 6th. So it should be available on the 7th. The Halloween season starts next week. So we have a retrospective to Dusk Till Dawn I'll be working on, and a commentary to Hellraiser 4. And then obviously the commentaries and retrospectives will continue throughout the month. If you're on Patreon, you already know the list. I may publish the list on my Facebook page in the next coming days, so people know what to expect. Yeah, I think that's all I've got to say for now. Okay, everyone, take care, and I'll see you all next time. If you enjoyed the video, you can find more on my YouTube channel, and also you can follow me on Twitter. If you want to help support the channel, you can donate through Patreon and receive monthly perks such as updates on the latest news on my channel, early access to reviews and commentaries before they go live on YouTube. Even the smallest donation can help keep this channel going. Thank you.